Hello, my fireflies, and welcome back to the TheCyanFirefly. It's me, Lyette, and...
Azalee. How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
I forgot you were here.
Gee, thanks! Sitting right next to you, and suddenly I don't exist. Wonderful!
Well, welcome back to another wonderful episode of the Sunday Sit-Down. I know we've been very bad about getting this out for the past couple of weeks, but I do have an explanation. Now, the baby was born, as some of you know. If you actually follow me on my Twitter, if you don't, please go ahead and do so. There's really no reason you shouldn't be doing that. But anyway, my friend had her baby, and we kind of got really distracted with what was going on there. And then as far as last week goes, well, there was a couple of compounded issues. Minecraft broke. And it broke in such a way that everybody who was playing had the default Steve skin.
Yeah.
So
not impressed.
not impressive whatsoever. You would have missed all of our cool Minecraft skins that we custom made ourselves.
Oh yeah, because those are totally awesome, let me tell you.
Hey, they're better than what most people come up with. Have you seen generic Minecraft skins? Anyway. So, we've gotten a couple of complaints about how we've been doing the Sunday Sit-Down in the past, and the large complaint that we were getting is that the video itself is not all exciting.
Yeah.
Now, as you might notice, the footage in the background for this particular video is of Guild Wars 2.
Da-da-da-da!
Now, Guild Wars 2 is the other reason why the channel has been so sparse lately. We've been playing a ton of that. I've actually got about, I don't know, nearly 200 gigabytes of footage sitting on my hard drive from all the stuff I've recorded from that game.
A lot of dance-offs. Dance-offs!
We are running a guild in it, and it's just been a blast. Our guild actually has 32 people in it now.
At this point. It's still small fry at the moment.
One of them is actually from the channel, Kazdoin.
Woohoo, Kazdoin!
Shout out to Kazdoin. Yeah, he's a pretty awesome guy. We've also converted some of the people we've gotten from the guild to actual fireflies. So I know at least Umbra has been watching the channel, so shout out to Professor Umbra.
Woohoo!
In fact, I'm going to cut it right now and actually show some footage of Umbra, Ionin, Azalee, and I trying to fight a gigantic fire elemental. That ended pretty well.
How many times did it take us to do this one?
Oh dear God.
We're still playing in the middle of this is the pre-release, mind you, so we're all trying our damnedest to beat this thing, and every 15 minutes, suddenly, blurb, the service will be restarting in 30 seconds. Are you kidding me?
Yes, we actually ended up having to fight this it's a world event boss.
Yeah.
It only appears every so often, and
we got it back to back every time the server restarted.
And not to mention, the thing was just damned unfair.
Oh my God.
Now,
30 plus people in that instance.
Now, before I go on, I actually wanted to say that our topic for this week is Guild Wars 2, and we're also going to discuss MMOs in general, but we really wanted to focus on Guild Wars 2 today because that's the game we've been playing quite a lot of.
Oh, yes.
So basically, we're going to talk about Guild Wars 2 and kind of compare it to other MMOs, at least as far as our knowledge goes. Between the two of us, we haven't played a whole lot of MMOs.
Well, that's no excuse for you. You're the gamer of this pair.
But
I almost lived under a rock.
I'm not going to pay $15 a month to play a video game.
Well, yeah.
It's just not what I'm into.
Come on, you did that with Star Wars.
I did it with Tor for a little while because I'm the biggest Star Wars fan in the freaking universe. I still know the technical layout of a Super Star Destroyer, for crying out loud. I know it's full armament down to
sweetheart. Ain't nothing to be proud of, let me tell you.
No, I know it's not to be proud of, but you understand why I bloody played Tor. I really, really wanted to like that game, and I did like that game, but it wound up way too much like World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft is the MMO I did play a lot of back in the day. I also played a lot of RuneScape.
Yeah. I think RuneScape was the first MMO really that I ever touched.
Yeah,
it was
RuneScape was like my...
The noobish MMO for noobs ever.
It's the gateway drug to MMO.
Okay, great. Now somebody's gonna Photoshop that one into a banner. RuneScape, the gateway drug of gaming. Wonderful!
But
I see the suing coming from a mile away.
the Jagex can't touch us. But but yes, I was a RuneScape member for about a year and a half, and I remember getting into all that and being really into it, and then some...
How do you mine for fish?
Then... That's actually a WoW joke.
Well, yeah, I know.
But then some asshat managed to hack my account, sold all my adamant armor, and... You know, I was really disappointed. I actually was one of the first people to get to level 100 in thieving, which was a great accomplishment back then. Now it accounts for nothing. But back then, that was cool. But yeah, I was like the 76th person to ever get like 100 in thieving.
Huh.
That was it was cool. I liked to have that title under me.
I never played for long. I think you were the one that actually got me into playing it, and I didn't start playing that until like sophomore, junior year of high school.
I don't even know. It was so long ago. That was a time and a half ago.
Yeah. Well, then I started playing Perfect World, and I didn't touch that one until college, and that was all I did through college was Perfect World. It was ridiculous. I liked the game. I did
get to try out the beta for another company, the same company that made Perfect World.
I'm still trying to get into that one, but yeah.
Raiders was pretty fun.
Does look pretty good, and I can't wait for that one to come out too. I'd definitely jump on playing that.
The central topic here is, of course, Guild Wars. Now, what does Guild Wars do differently from all these kinds of games? Well, Guild Wars, being an MMO, kind of has to do a lot with these kinds of games. It still has to have a lot of the similar formulas, like hotkey attacks and auto attacks and stuff like that. But it also does a lot of change-ups. Now, it doesn't exactly do anything that no game has done before, but it combines it all in such a way that it feels really good and it feels really unique. It has an active dodging
English. It's a
an
wonderful
active
thing.
dodging system, for example.
Yes.
So, basically, any attack that flies at you, you can double-click a movement button, you roll out of the way, and you actually evade the attack. There
are also some hotkeys for weapon strikes that let you do that. For example, my thief actually has, if you're dueling sword and dagger...
Well, let's not get too much into the skill systems just yet.
Well, no, I'm saying
But there are some skills, like I have a rolling trail of fire that can allow me to dodge enemies, but it also combines into an attack. It actually leads a trail of fire behind me that burns people who walk through it.
Correct, yeah.
But
which I think is a pretty interesting
the skill system's kind of the next conversation.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right now, just movement. You can roll around, you can jump around. You saw me doing that a lot in Raiders, for instance. I could dodge attacks and stuff like that. So it's not like it hasn't already been done. Terra, that's also
Online,
present in Terra Online, which is a game I still haven't gotten my hands on. I got into a beta, but I really wasn't all that interested in playing it. I was really focused on Guild Wars 2 and kind of trying to get the channel known at that point.
Yeah.
So...
Well, see, I don't know. Guild Wars... not Guild Wars. Terra Online is still definitely a pay-as-you-play sort of thing.
It's also a pay-as-you-play, and I'm not willing to throw down $15 a month for a game.
Yeah, our wallet is crying enough as it is right now.
Yes.
Just saying.
But, back to Guild Wars 2. Now, Guild Wars 2 also has skills. Most games nowadays have skill, like MMO games have skills. And it's the basic hotbar kind of setup where you go 1 through 10 or whatever. Yeah. I think in Guild Wars it's specifically 1 through 0. 1 through 0.
And then some of them also have the F keys as well.
Yes. Which are separate. Those are class-based skills. But,
right. But they're still hotkeys.
So your 1 through 5 are your weapon-based skills. Your first 5 skills are weapon-based.
And they always change based off of what weapons you're carrying, whether or not you're on land, and whether or not you're on water.
Yes. There's also a whole underwater system, but we'll get into that after.
Right.
So, There have been other games that have weapon-based skills. Another example of that is, of course, Terra. And then there's, of course, Raiders, which has some weapon-based skills. But they all do it in a slightly different way than this game does. Weapons, in this instance, actually have their own skill sets that are exclusive to that class, even. For instance, if my mage picks up a staff, he gains access to, a fireball. He can hurl a fireball forward. Then he can, what else is there? There's a fireball. There's he can make a lava font on the ground, and he can cause fire to rain from the sky.
Yep.
Now, if not a mesmer, if a guardian picks up a staff instead, now a guardian's a very heavy armored class, he can do a completely different set of abilities with that same weapon, but they're still staff-related abilities. A staff is kind of a group buff, defense, area of effect kind of thing, as opposed to a more aggressive weapon like a greatsword or daggers.
Right.
So, yes, he still has weapons that do that whole support role with area of effects and global buffs that can help everybody around him, but they're still Guardian exclusive, so they're more based on actually increasing people's toughness and protection, whereas mine are actually nuking an entire field of people.
Now, just so everybody knows, Lyad is doing a lot of these really, really wild hand gestures going on, as if all of you guys can see this, and I'm just looking at him and laughing to myself because none of you can see this.
I'm an active talker.
Sweetheart,
myself.
This is what we call being Polish.
But I'm not Polish.
I think a little bit of you in you.
I'm German and Irish.
Well, sweetheart, I'm Welsh and Irish, but I'm also Polish, and the hand things go everywhere. Anyway, back on topic.
My ancestors are hated by Poland. Very much so.
Back on topic, please. Oh, crap. This is why we shouldn't drink Jaeger while we're recording.
This is why we should drink Jaeger while we're recording. Anyway.
Don't drink, kids. Don't drink.
Anyway. You confuse the hell out of me.
And this is why you love me.
Sometimes.
Oh.
Anyway. Now, each class can use a variety of weapons. You're not actually kind of restricted to, just one weapon.
No, but you are restricted based on class.
Yes, there are some restrictions. For instance, an elementalist can't wield a greatsword, but they can wield 2 daggers.
Right.
Which is a really interesting build. But, enough on that later.
As a thief, I like it.
Yes, thieves, for instance, can use short bows, they can use double daggers, longsword in one hand,
dagger in another,
dagger in the other.
Pistols.
And these all change your front 5 skills completely. You can have multiple weapon sets to access different weapon skills. Elementalists can't do this. They only have access to one weapon set at any given point in time.
But they have access to the different elemental categories.
Now, each class also has a series of function key abilities. If you look at the top of your keyboard, you'll notice that you have function 1, function 2, function 3, function 4, F1, F2, F3, F4.
Yeah, I think they got it.
Yeah. Well, some people are computer illiterate. Granted,
Don't bring my dad into this!
I'm sure they're not watching my channel, but there are some people out there who are computer illiterate and don't know what the F keys actually mean.
Bloody freaking da!
Anyway, every class has function key abilities. Now, these function key abilities are very unique, and they all have interesting effects. For the Elementalist, for instance, they can switch elemental attunements, which is really cool. They don't actually have different weapon sets, but what they can do is swap from, say, fire to
ice.
Water.
Yeah, well, yeah, sorry, water.
So, if I'm wielding my staff and I switch to water, instead of having a fireball, I throw a burst of water, which does a little bit of damage to the enemy and heals any ally near the enemy. I can also drop a giant ice spike from the ceiling. I can
summon an ice elemental.
No, that's different ability.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes. I can shoot a shower of rain all over everybody, which heals everybody. Everybody loves me when I do that. I can cast a slow field, all sorts of interesting stuff. I also have access to air and earth. Thief.
Thief only has one, as far as I've been able to determine. It's the
only has one.
Yeah, it's the F1 key, and it allows you to steal things. And if you manage to steal something from an opponent, it's an attack ability or some sort of buff, and you can throw it. Oh, sorry, not a buff, but more like a debuff, where you can poison whoever you're targeting.
It's a condition.
Yeah. So it's always really fun to steal something from a Haslanti. I'm sorry, the
Hylix?
No, not the Hylix. The
What do they look like?
Oh my god! I can't believe it.
Centaurs?
Yes, thank you. Oh
you
my
couldn't
god!
remember the word.
I'm
centaur.
gonna go shoot myself right now.
Centaur.
Holy crap! Bad geek. Anyway, yes. So you steal something from a centaur, and it turns out to be like some sort of blunderbuss or whatever, and you shoot the centaur and rock yourself backwards and knock him forward. It's freaking hilarious. Anyway, yeah. I like playing my thief a lot.
I don't know all the other classes yet, but I do know other examples. For instance, the Necromancer gets this cool death form that he can go into, where he becomes like temporarily invincible, and he gets some nasty
he looks like the
life.
shadow.
Yeah, he gets these nice life-stealing attacks. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty neat.
The Mesmer. The entire concept behind the Mesmer is a lot of their attacks create duplicates of the Mesmer.
I've seen it in action, too, and it's really neat.
Their F-key abilities allow them to shatter their clones, which cause multiple different nasty effects to their enemies.
Mm-hmm.
What else is there? There's the Rangers, who can do various pet commands.
Yep.
They actually use their pets kind of like equipment. They can equip 2 land pets at once, and they can swap between them at any given point in time. So it's kind of like a weapon set.
Yeah.
It's really neat.
It's like, today I'm going to choose the pink moa and the bear.
Yes.
Let's go, guys!
My ranger in particular has a drake, which is kind of like a large salamander with very nasty pointy teeth, and a hyena, and my dog is barking.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh dear God. And I know my microphone's going to be picking all this up. Wonderful. Anyway, let's try to talk over the dog.
Alright, let's pause until we get...
No, we're fine. There is also warriors who build up a rage bar. When you activate their ability, they furiously swing their weapon around for a couple of seconds, doing massive damage in an area. It's all fun. It's all really cool. They're all really well thought out, and they do a lot. Most of these abilities are also accessible underwater. Underwater, you switch to a whole new weapon set. You can stay underwater indefinitely. There's no, like, air bar or anything.
No, and that's something that they actually really planned out well with the equipment.
Yes.
You have 2 different equipment weapons that you can use. Like, for example, the thief can use spears and harpoon guns. But each character is equipped with this breathing mask.
There are 3 different underwater weapons. Some classes are more heavily restricted than others.
Right.
You have access to tridents, spears, and spear guns. The elementalists, for example, are only restricted to tridents. They can only use tridents. But the thief can use a spear and a spear gun.
Yeah.
But,
harpoon gun.
Harpoon gun, whatever it is. I don't care. But, but there's a whole new fighting dynamic underwater, which is pretty cool. All your abilities change. For instance, with the elementalist, he's no longer really using fire so much as he's shooting out lava globs, which is really cool.
Yeah, all the animations will change.
Yeah, it's actually really
neat. They put a lot of thought into it.
A lot of
really
his attacks, water attacks turn into ice bolts and stuff like that. The thief can, like, use a super harpoon shot that knocks you flying backward, which is really cool.
Or use like oil or
yeah, like an oil shot or an explosive shot.
Yeah, which
or a
puffs
rapid
up.
fire. Pa, 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 pa.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really neat. Like, they keep a lot of the class itself within each weapon ability and attack.
I love, in particular, the air group for the elementalist, because I can trap somebody in a
the air bubbles.
lightning cage, and then trap them in an air bubble, which floats them to the top of the lightning cage, and then they get electrocuted and stunned. It's hilarious.
It's brilliant.
My screen just went dark. Whoops. This is the problem with doing stuff in post, because occasionally your screen will die on you. Hello. Thank you. Whoops. Anyway.
We'll cut that out.
Yeah, we will. Well, what are we going to cut out? Just me going, my screen died. No. Anyway. But yeah, there's a whole slew of really cool things. Now, there's something present in other games that isn't present in Guild Wars 2, which is mounts.
I've been hearing a lot of people complaining about the fact that there's no mount system. However, with Guild Wars, they have the fast travel with the waypoints.
There's a bunch of waypoints all across the world. It costs a couple of copper, but...
Depending on how far you go, it costs more than others.
Yes,
so.
But you just go to your map, you find a little icon, you click on it, and it teleports you straight there. So travel really isn't a huge issue. There's really no need for mounts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they'd be a cool thing, but really... There's absolutely no need for it, so why even really bother to include that in the game?
Outside of it being an aesthetic choice?
Yeah,
to me, they're
unnecessary.
Coming from somebody who hasn't played a game that uses mounts, like WoW, or I think even Perfect World has them at some point when you get to a specific level, with Guild Wars, I don't see the relevance. I really don't. Right. I think that aspect of the game is perfect the way it is.
Yeah. Next conversation is questing. Now, how does Guild Wars do questing?
Well, it has the initial storyline from when you start your character.
Well, even moving beyond personal story quests.
Well, you have the personal story quests as well.
That are out in the world. How do you do that?
Well, usually it comes from exploring the map.
Yes.
You walk around the map, and then suddenly you'll see this little heart icon appear, and it's like, oh, what's this? You go up, you talk to whoever is associated to that icon, and they'll tell you about a problem that's
you don't
located
even have
to
to
the
talk
area.
To them, though.
Well, no, you don't have to. You'll automatically get it up in the right-hand corner saying, help so-and-so with X problem, Y problem,
and this
Z problem, and this is how you can accomplish it. But you can also go up and talk to that person
to
as
get
well.
More
to get
details.
Exactly, to get a little bit more information about things.
But the thing is, you don't have to. It's all organic. And there are also, like, world events, which are really cool stuff.
Yes, those are insane.
Every once in a while, something, it's based on a timer, I believe, will just happen. You'll get a pop-up on the corner of your screen, and it'll say, help this guy! And you'll get an icon on your map. It'll basically tell you to go here. You don't have to. You can ignore it. But what you do in these world events will actually change the world.
Yep.
We're not even talking about guilds.
Well, yeah, whatever.
But this will actually help change the world. So, for instance...
When we were actually playing the beta...
You come across this man. This is in Kessex Hills. You come across this man, and he is actually very distraught. He just lost his hometown as a result of a crate attack. Now, for those who don't know, crates are kind of like Nagas. They're snake people.
Yeah. Oh my god. I know exactly what you're talking about. That one was a freaking bitch during the beta.
Now he's very despondent. He's very upset. And you have to help him through the ruins of this place. But the thing is, you don't have to talk to him at all. He just automatically starts walking there, and you meet up with him. And it's all relatively organic. And you basically guide him through this whole area, this kind of escort mission. Now, it's possible to fail these kinds of missions, and another set of conditions will occur, and you'll go off on a completely different quest set. If you do succeed on this mission, everything's fine, you go on another quest set. Another example of that is when centaurs, there's a bunch of centaurs who occasionally will attack a town. Mm-hmm. Now, if you fail to defend that town, they will actually take over the town. They will start spawning there. And you'll later on get a mission that you have to now go and clear out this town. If you successfully defend the town, you'll finally be able to actually attack the Centaur home base. Mm-hmm. And you get to fight a really big Centaur boss mob, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Or again, like when we were actually playing through the beta, we went to a Sylvari area where the undead were rising. We had to help clear out the undead. Well,
yes.
The first time we did this, we failed horribly.
Oh, yes. We got our butts handed to us.
And the undead started, like, pushing into the Sylvari town and
poisoning everybody,
poisoning
and
all the NPCs, and it was making like the plants
diseased and
like
stuff like that.
off-colored and stuff like that. It's like you physically get to see the effects of what happens if you
start failing.
If you botch whatever you're doing.
Yes, but the thing is, if you push forward and you manage to take out all the risen, I think those were actually risen crate. They were like zombified Nagas.
It was a lot of different.
But
it was like Risen Asura,
but the
Char.
objectives were crate.
Right.
Yes. But if you killed all the risen crate, it actually cleared the swamp of the disease. It became living. It looked like clear water, and it looked absolutely lovely. The fog lifted and everything.
Yeah, you actually saw color again. It wasn't this gray and despondent swamp anymore. It became like this. It became a marshland that
you know what I realized we forgot to talk about?
What?
But we can tie it into this. There's another set of quests in the game, which are basically quests that aid in exploring the world. First off, there's heart points.
Right, which are generally known as tasks.
Which you mentioned before, but there are these heart points, which are fixed point quests. They're always there. You go in, you do a set of activities to slowly fill up this heart bar. Once you fill up the heart bar, you've succeeded in the quest, you gain some experience, you get sent a message from the quest holder with a little bit of money, and it says what your impact was, and you gain access to what's called a karma merchant, which is a separate currency system that allows you to gain some unique stuff from those particular merchants.
And a lot of it tends to be like recipes for
various crafts,
crafting skills and stuff like that, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah. But then there are also these other things that kind of look like, what would you call it?
Carrots.
Yeah, well, they look like carrots, and by carrot I don't mean like the orange fruit vegetable that you eat.
That's a strange fruit there, my friend.
I actually mean the number that is currently above your 6 on your keyboard, that little carrot. It's a military badge. I think it's to indicate an
Lieutenant.
infantry. You sure?
Yeah.
Lieutenant? Well, anyway, it's kind of like this little blue chick. This little blue carrot.
It's a mountain. It looks like a little mountain. But they're known as skill points.
Now, you go and collect skill points.
Yeah.
You have to go to that location, you find something, you have to perform a skill challenge, and you get a skill point. Your skill points are spent on your 6 through 0 skills, which are known as your healing skill, which is bound to
healing
6.
skill is bound to 5. 6 through 0.
No. 1 through 5 are weapon skills. 6 is
I'm sorry, yeah, you're right.
6 is your healing skill, 7 through 9 are utility skills, and 0 is your elite skill.
Yeah.
Now,
the elite skill doesn't open
has
to
a
30,
healing,
so...
Every single character has a healing skill. They're all unique based on your class.
Yeah.
There are also some racial skills that you can purchase. For instance, I have a racial healing skill that allows me to summon a plant that heals everybody in an area.
Mm-hmm.
I could also instead take a healing rune kind of deal, which gives me a heal and then a buff based on whatever elemental attunement I have. And then there are a bunch of other utility-based skills. I can summon elementals based on which elemental attunement I'm on. Yep. I can summon a storm, like a sandstorm, lightning storm, firestorm, ice storm. And then I can also summon... What do I have on my bar right now? I can summon a seed turret.
Yep.
Which spits seeds. And then finally you have an elite skill.
Well, that's common to any Sylvari. I can do the same thing.
Skill.
That's a racial one.
But then there's also elite skills, which are basically a longer cooldown, very powerful skill that can do quite a lot of damage.
You don't unlock those ones until level 30, and they cost 10 skill points
a piece.
Whereas everything else, like
your first utility skills cost 1, your next cost 3, your next ones cost 6.
Yep.
Your healing skills, I think the highest one costs 3. But yeah, the elite skills cost 10. There's another tier of elite skills that cost even more than that.
Yeah.
I don't know, probably around 15. I'm hoping it's around 15. If it's any more, I might choke myself. But yeah, for instance, for right now, I can summon a Fern Mastiff, which is a really large wolf made out of grass and plants, which is a Sylvari racial ability. I could have picked instead to summon a giant fiery greatsword, which is pretty cool. It's a whole new weapon set, because this game actually has unique weapon sets based off of stuff that you pick up in the environment.
Yeah, when that's always very cool. Like, you can summon... Lyat can summon
various weapons.
Yes, and
which
it doesn't
are
matter.
skills.
It completely doesn't matter whether or not your class can use these.
Yes, you can pick them up regardless.
So I play a thief right now, and there's no way my character would logically be able to pick up a lightning hammer, but I'm picking up a lightning hammer.
Yeah.
It
gives the character a full new set of abilities that they normally wouldn't have access to. And the thing is, when I use that utility, not only do I summon one for myself, but I summon one for somebody else to pick up. So it's not like I'm just keeping this all for myself. I actually summon 2 copies of the weapon, which is really awesome when you have 2 people running around with giant flaming greatswords. It causes a whole lot of havoc. But anyway.
To chaos, my friends!
But anyway, going on beyond that, back to questing. The thing with world events is that there's always this really cool big thing at the end of every world event. There are some that are even larger than others. It's kind of like the final boss of the map.
Yeah.
And we just showed you one a few minutes ago, which was the giant fire elemental.
Oh my god.
That's actually part of a full quest chain where you have to go to this elemental reactor built by the Asura that's currently in a meltdown.
Yeah.
There's wild energies leaking into it. There are elementals being summoned everywhere. There's these dark chaos creatures roaming the halls, and you have to help them clear it. So, at the end, the reactor goes absolutely crazy, and this gigantic greater fire elemental rises up and starts summoning all these little fire elementals, and...
It's your job to pick up the pieces.
Shat goes pear-shaped.
You divided by 0. Congratulations!
Well, the Asura divided by 0. And they don't claim responsibility for it.
No,
ever.
They will never claim.
It's somebody else's fault. Every single time.
Batshit crazy little bastards.
It's a blast, though. I acknowledge that they weren't the first ones to come up with it. I'm aware that Rift did something similar when that game was really big. That game's still kind of big. It has its own following.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not as big as other RPGs are.
Right.
There may be other examples of games out there that do something similar, but this is my experience with the game that has done it really well, and from what I understand by a lot of people who play Guild Wars 2 and have played those other games, they do it better than other... I mean, yeah, what...
For, like, the few complaints that there have been and that I've heard about, that I've actually seen people complaining about, there have been double that in compliments to the game.
I mean...
And coming from
what it comes right down to...
Gamers are very finicky and nitpicky. Yeah. Unfortunately, like, they really, really are. You think that anime fans are bad when it comes to details. No, gamers are worse.
Yes,
So the fact that they're giving the praise to the game really says something.
Yes, and, I mean, I acknowledge that the quests are stuff that everybody's already done. You can't really make a whole new type of quest because everything's been done before. Right. So yes, you're going to be doing a lot of the same quests you already did in WoW. You're going to be doing a lot of the same quests that you've done in other MMOs. But the way that they're implemented and the way that they're actually woven into the story makes them more interesting. And it's just funner to do.
Yeah, I like the fact that you can do a lot of them over again if you want to. It's like that
and
little
they
extra
ultimately
experience.
have a huge effect on the map.
Yeah.
And it can completely change the face of the world. Yes, it ultimately gets restarted just so somebody else can have that experience later. But you can leave the map at least believing that you changed something. You actually had an impact on the world.
Mm-hmm. Which
is really important. If you feel like a hero. You feel like you actually did something.
Right, and that is always gratifying when you're playing a game like this. It's like, you want to make sure that you're doing this for a reason.
It feels more like a living set piece rather than just a static, non-living world.
Right. And that's definitely one thing that I give a lot of props to ArenaNet when it comes to this game. It's like they made a living world.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they did. Very much so. What else is there that we haven't discussed yet?
The viewpoints.
Well, the viewpoints are another matter of map exploration. Every once in a while, you'll find something that looks like two red mountains on your map, and you'll have to go to that area, and you'll have to look around for like a floating map in midair. Now, that is always basically in a hard-to-reach area, and you need to figure out like a jumping puzzle to get up there. And once you finally manage to get up there, you're rewarded with a lovely pan-out view of the entire area you just kind of had to jump over. It's really beautiful. It always looks really nice. You actually saw an example of that when I did the first overview of Guild Wars 2, my first Sylvari footage.
Yeah. Well, that was during like the second beta weekend or something like that, because they didn't have
so.
that. That was not implemented when we first started playing the closed beta.
I think it was one of the I think it was one of the closed betas. I just can't remember which exact one it was. Yeah. But
so the first time that we found that was actually in the Grove for the Sylvari, and it was like, this is the coolest thing ever!
Well, yes, because the pale tree is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh my god.
The aesthetic of the game is incredibly beautiful.
Every aspect of the game. It doesn't matter where you are. I mean, even some of the char realm looks really it's gray and dismal.
It doesn't look beautiful, but it looks...
It has its own charm
it's amazing.
to it. Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like a steampunk orc society. It's extremely sharp, extremely point... It reminds me of Isengard. It really reminds me of Isengard.
Yeah.
It feels like Isengard. It also kind of reminds me of... Not so much Minas Morgul, crud. Mordor. Why couldn't I remember what the hell Mordor was called? But it looks like Sauron's tower. It's got that sharp iron look. It's all
and that gray,
really industrialized.
Yeah. Thank you, industrialized. That's the word I was looking for.
Pluming up into the air, and it all looks
gray and
choked. You take the words right out of my mouth. Thank you.
We're in sync, the two of us.
Yes.
Anyway.
What else is there? Dungeons. Dungeons are in every single
Oh my god.
And that's the latest footage that we have. We decided to explore Ascalon Catacombs. And these dungeons are incredibly hard. It is said that this game has gotten rid of the Holy Trinity, which is tanks, healers, and DPS. Which is somewhat true. We kind of got a taste of that. If we had continued and we had the time, and one of our players didn't end up having to leave due to enormous lag issues, we might have actually managed to beat through it. But we were playing with 5 DPS characters. We had 2 rangers, 2 thieves, and an elementalist.
Yeah.
Which was me, Azali, Kazdoin, Professor Umbra, and Cecil the Damned.
Yeah.
And we were actually doing pretty good once we got past the first area, and we
had
Cecil
Oh my god, that
join
first
into us.
area was ridiculous.
Yes, it was incredibly ridiculous.
Like, let's go trolling through this dungeon. Oh my god, what is
Why
this?
is everything killing us in 2 shots? Because we're DPS characters and we're not rolling out of the way.
By the time we finally got into the flow of things,
then we got Cecil to join us because we foolishly thought we could just take it with 4 people. No.
Well, what made it worse, too, though, was we had one NPC character and then another NPC character joined in, and we were still getting our asses kicked.
Yeah, it was a horrific experience.
It was fun, don't get me wrong, but it was like,
your equipment does have durability in this game,
my God.
and the repair bill was ridiculous. I was not happy after getting saddled with that repair bill.
And that's definitely something that is common throughout most MMOs, is like the
durability on armor and stuff like that.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but are there other MMOs that employ your armor breaks and you suddenly your in-game avatar no longer has that while you're playing?
Some of them do, some of them don't.
Because I know for a fact that there have been so many times where I've played and I've got my ass kicked and I forgot that, my armor is, like, degrading more and more each
now
time. And
suddenly
suddenly,
you're in a
I'm
bikini.
naked! I'm running around in like, this flower...
Wow, I hope I have enough footage to cover. We've been recording for 40 minutes now. I hope I have enough footage to cover all of this.
See, it goes to show you that once we start talking, we just kind of run away with things. It's ridiculous.
Azalee here thought that this was going to be a short show. No.
Shut up!
Not remotely.
Shut up.
Anyway, I guess the next thing I want to move on to is the actual guild system. Now, unfortunately, they haven't implemented guild halls yet. From what I understand, this is actually something that they're planning on doing. I've sent them my own suggestions on what guild halls should be. But there aren't guild halls yet. But what guilds can do for right now.
Right.
Now, as guilds join together, they start gaining something called influence. Influence are a set of points. It's a point system that appears in the corner of the guild tab that can be spent to gain buffs for the guild. You can start doing research, which gains you access to, like, a larger guild bank. It can also give...
emblems and banners.
Guild emblems. It can also give access to some unique stuff, like a global buff that gives everybody more experience. There's also a full PvP thing called World versus World. And you can actually buy buffs for the guild for that World v World mode. Before I go on, the World v World mode is basically, it pits server versus server. And there are these enormous, gigantic battlegrounds where, like, hundreds of players all at once fight one another. And it's like server versus server. It's a three-way battle because there are 3 servers at once all trying to fight over this land. And it gets really intense. But one of the parts of it is that guilds can conquer specific forts in the World v World. And if they have the right research done, they can actually provide buffs to anybody inside of their fort. If they're a Art of War specialized guild and they've spent influence in that area. They can also build catapults and siege golems that have their emblems painted all over them, which is a really cool thing.
Yeah.
If you see a guild-based siege golem
strutting its stuff through the plains, it's like,
getting ready to smash through a couple of gates.
Oh,
that's really cool.
Now, you were able to get into some of the World versus World stuff. I haven't been able to do it myself yet because I didn't exactly have the levels, and I've sort of been having some computer issues regarding high processing with this game.
Yes. We've
For the
also
record, my computer seems to have an overheating... It loves to overheat when there's too much going on. No, it's a laptop.
Let's be fair. It's not a PC, it's a laptop. You're trying to run a newer game on an older laptop.
Well, this laptop I got like a year ago.
Yes, but it's not a gaming laptop.
I know. I want a gaming laptop, but it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Screw gaming laptop. Get one of these.
Oof.
For those who obviously can't see me, I'm pointing towards my gaming rig. Anyway.
Yes, which we lovingly call Sovereign.
Yes. Anyway.
Guess it will eat our souls.
It's the king. Anyway. What was I talking? Oh, World v World. Anyway, so you can do all sorts of things with guilds. You can organize all sorts of cool stuff. You can even organize parties. There's one particular guild buff where you can actually build a feast table and put it down, and everybody can like gorge themselves on food and stuff and get buffs on it.
I see. I did not know that. That's pretty neat.
Yes. We're the guild leaders, so we're actually the only 2 people in the guild who can spawn these things in, because it actually costs influence. We don't want the lowest level people in our guild wasting all of our influence on stuff that they think would be for fun.
Right. Well, see, that makes sense, too.
Yeah. I mean, we can give access to certain people. Currently, I think the only other people who can do it are Ionin and Merc.
Yeah.
Kazdoin and Professor Umbra have been rising rather quickly in the guild. They might also become second in commands for us, but you guys have to stick around with us longer. We're not just going to hand you those titles. Anyway, we've been having a lot of fun. The guild themselves have been having a lot of blast. They're all relatively talkative.
Let's stop using the big words before you hurt yourself.
I'll hurt you.
Please don't.
Oh, boy. Anyway. But they're all talkative. They're actually a really nice group of guys. I'm glad I kind of got all these people together. We're slowly approaching the guild limit, which is 50 people. We can increase that as we wish. But it's been a blast, and I hope some of you who managed to get into the Sanctum of Ral server, I think it's full at the moment. I might be wrong.
Well, according to ArenaNet, they have been implementing more and more server openings. I know that, for example, the French server and
the German servers.
Thank you. The German
servers are completely
full. So they were actually making more servers for the individual, like their Sanctum of Ral and whatever.
Yeah. But if any of you are in Sanctum of Ral,
keep in mind this is the U.S. server as well.
Well, Sanctum of Ral is only a U.S. server. There's no UK Sanctum of Ral. But
well, see, that was an issue that we were having, too, was that when we were going into the overflow, we were getting people from other servers.
Yes, but that's a separate problem that these guys really don't need to hear about. For those who don't know, an overflow server is when there's a lot of traffic in a particular area, it'll kick you over to an overflow server, which not only has people from your server, but it has people from all the other servers, too. There are various different overflows, and it can get a little confusing because you can make friends on servers that you don't normally have access to, which is kind of unfortunate if you want to play with these people that you met on the overflow server. So, I guess ArenaNet's looking into fixing stuff like that by implementing like guest passes and stuff like that. But
well,
they haven't gotten a solution in place yet.
No, but
now
what I like about ArenaNet though is that they're working all the time to make this game better, than fixing the bugs and
I'm aware of
getting
that,
the
but
issues
we've talked
done.
a lot about the good. We should probably mention some of the bad stuff.
Right.
It's not like these are huge deals, but there has been some problems. There are some problems with every MMO release.
Right.
Now, a lot of stuff has incidentally been breaking with Guild Wars 2. The biggest issue that a lot of people have been having is that
the parties are breaking.
No, that's not the biggest issue.
Well,
that's not the one that everybody's complaining about. The one that everybody's complaining about is the in-game auction house.
Oh, yeah, the Black Lion Trading House.
Yes. Now, there is an in-game auction house that has been broken since the game released. And a lot of people are upset by it. There's a lot of people who just are being completely unreasonable about it. Now, I understand somewhat about how games are programmed. I understand coding and stuff like that because I studied game design and development in college. I didn't fully finish that degree, but that's a whole nother issue. If you guys want to talk about that, I can talk about it some other time. I'm not going to bring it up here because there's a lot of rage behind that one. But basically what happens is that this auction trading house is actually being hosted externally. It's actually not part of the game coding. It's not being hosted on the game servers. It's external. It's hosted on a completely different set of servers. And as a result, the coding for it was borked a little bit. And it can't sustain the amount of players that actually access the trading house. There are roughly 400,000 people at least playing Guild Wars 2 right now. As a result, the auction house broke. It could not handle. Breaking. It cannot handle the traffic that it's receiving. So they finally had to take it down. And it's a completely different group that's working on this auction house. It's not ArenaNet. So people are screaming at ArenaNet, and they're not the problem. It's a completely different organization, and it's a completely different set of servers.
I wouldn't even yell at the people who are in charge of the Black Lion
because
Trading
it's
House
in the coding. It's a coding problem.
Right, and they have to go through every line, every inch of coding throughout that entire server and try to find that one little thing that borked it. And I can tell you that it's always going to be the smallest thing coming from somebody who did web development.
Yeah, you do web development.
I do web development as my associate's degree. And I can't tell you how many times just building a website, one little thing, you post one bad ending code, and suddenly the entire layout is borked, and you can't figure out how it is, what the hell's doing it until you go through each individual line, and then you kick yourself because you should have seen this problem before you hit save and tested it.
Let me tell you all a humorous story. Now, the aspect of game design that I actually did was specifically coding. So I know a little bit of code. I'm really rusty on it. I could probably look at a code and give you a basic idea of what it did, but I can't do coding anywhere near what I used to. But
not anywhere near what these guys do
or
on a
what
daily basis.
A professional gamer does. I was never at that point anyway. I never got to the professional game design ability.
Not that you weren't looking forward to doing it.
I really wanted to, but again, different conversation. We're not going there.
Yeah.
But I was once making a
it was sort of a mod for...
what they call a module for Neverwinter Nights 2. And I was creating kind of like a village. And I did a lot of work on this place, and it actually looked really, really neat. And I custom built all the NPCs, I made them look really unique, I gave them all scripts to talk to people and all that sort of stuff. And then I kind of wanted to make it so that these two guards near a campfire would patrol around it. Now, characters in that game have what's called a heartbeat script. Now, when you give a character a heartbeat script, every 4 seconds it checks this script to know what it's supposed to be doing. Now, what I didn't realize when I was saving the heartbeat script is that I saved it in the wrong place. Instead of saving it to this particular character, I saved the heartbeat script as a global heartbeat script. So, what ended up occurring? Every single NPC in the entire map immediately left their position, walked to the campfire, and started walking around it. I was in the middle of class, and I died laughing.
And you saved an extra copy of this when I got to go over and you showed this to me. And I was rolling. I'm like, how did you manage this?
Now, my teacher got pissed at me, which is part of the reason why I got very distressed with the whole situation. It actually led to an argument between me and my teacher. He's like, you shouldn't be testing this in a full blah-de-blah-de-blah. You know, this guy didn't actually teach us. He basically said,
here's a tutorial.
Here's a tutorial. Here's a forum. Look here, and this is what you're supposed to do.
Gee, thanks for nothing.
I expect all this done by the end of the semester. It's really? But anyway. So, but the entire class thought it was a hilarious little bug I discovered. And it was the funniest goddamn thing ever. But enough about that.
Well, it ties
at the end of the day,
that.
I understand how coding can go wrong, and I can understand why, how this tiny little thing, like saving a file in the wrong place, or screwing up this one tiny little line of code, can ruin your entire list of code.
Ruin like a week to a month's worth of work.
Yes, and it can take a while to fix it.
Right. And it's probably going to take a while for the people who are running Blackline to actually fix the issue with the trading house
Especially because in the closed betas, it looked fine. It worked.
Well, again, closed betas, there wasn't that many people
there wasn't
on the servers.
400,000 people playing this game all at once.
Right. And... well, keep in mind, too, that right now, this is like the first month or so that the game has actually gone live.
And there's also massive hiccups in every single game. It always happens.
Right. Like, for an example, right now, ArenaNet's not opening their forums right now because they're still waiting for the influx of new players to actually slow down.
There's been on and off again stuff with those forums.
Well, that too, but again, it comes down to the amount of the influx of new players coming in. It's like their forums can't handle how many people are logging in and
not to mention, I consider this auction house such a minor part of the game compared to like everything else. There's so much this game has to offer, and the auction house really isn't that hugely important. Yes, I understand how economy can be important, but really, you come to this game to explore a gigantic, gorgeous world, participate in these enormous world events where you fight these gigantic creatures, you get to feel epic, and slaughter
other
stuff.
people, like-
You get to do this whole epic crafting system. The crafting system is genius, by the way.
Yes.
They actually made the crafting system interesting. I love the crafting system. You do not go out and like buy random recipes. You can. There are some recipes that you have to go out and find. But mostly with recipes, what you're going to be doing is you're going to sit down at a crafting table. You're going to throw a bunch of ingredients into a bowl. And then
see what happens.
See what happens. It's like alchemy. It's genius. And I'm a chef. Now that sounds relatively boring, but it's amazing. Like when I just throw a bunch of ingredients into a bowl and suddenly I walk away with a couple of slices of cheese pizza. It's like
what? What genius made up a cheese pizza in this setting?
But it's just hilarious. It's like, I can make chocolate chip cookies, but I got to discover the recipe on my own. I got to find all the ingredients in the world, and I got to put them together.
Right, and the fact that you get to discover all these recipes on your own makes you feel more of a badass, because it's like, I did this by myself. I didn't have help to do this.
By the way, chocolate chip cookies are amazing. They give a bunch of really cool buffs. I made 200 of them.
Just for the shits and giggles of it.
I gave like 10 to every guild member, and
I didn't get any.
Well, I'll send you some.
Okay.
They'd be really good for your class because they give like plus 30 to precision.
Oh, hell yeah!
They're crazy.
Hell yes!
Yeah, it's like plus 40 to healing, plus 30 to precision, and plus 10 experience for every creature you kill.
Damn!
And it lasts for 30 minutes. And I have like 170 still sitting in my account. I still need to send some of these chocolate cookies out.
Brilliant.
Because I just have so many. Yes, I've been power leveling my chef profession. You get 2 professions. I'm doing artifacing and cooking. You're doing
leatherworking and huntsman.
Yes. And,
so I get to make armor and...
well, leather armor.
Well, yeah. Leather armor.
There's also heavy armor and cloth armor. And you get to make like bows and
short bows, long bows, rifles, pistols, and harpoons. Weapons. Right. And just about anything range, really.
Ew! I always sneeze. Anyway. Moving on. But yeah, the crafting system is fun. It's great. Where was I?
The crafting system.
Beyond that.
General.
You also come to this game for the World v World, which is a gigantic part of the game. Like there's these 4 enormous, gigantic battlegrounds with like 200 players on each side, so it's like 600 players all fighting one another in these massive zergs. Doing these enormous creative stuff. There was this one particular instance, I wasn't part of this, but I saw a video somewhere on YouTube, I have no idea where it was. There was this huge siege going on outside of this particular fort, and the guys who were defending were getting their butts handed to them. The gate was just about to get battered down, so they all retreated into the inside of the keep, and nobody knew where they went. So they finally battered down the gate, and they started slaughtering the NPCs on the inside of the gate. And in order to take over a fort, you have to kill the champion NPC in the center of the fort.
Mm-hmm.
And so they all go running in, and they find the champion NPC, and he's surrounded by all the players, and they all have cannons. They all...
Brilliant!
Because you can build siege weaponry for attack and defense. So there's like 30 players standing there, and they all have cannons.
Hello! Boom!
Next thing you know, there's a gigantic wipeout. There's like 50 people just... Everybody dies. It was perfect.
Brilliant!
And
beautiful! Fucking magical,
this particular mode is just ripe for badass stuff like that to happen.
The entire game
As soon as these big guilds get motivated and they start talking to one another and they start devising strategies, brilliant stuff will happen. It looks so exciting. I'm really eager to get our guild bigger to actually start doing stuff like this. Because it will be fun as hell, and I really, really would love people from the YouTube channel to get a part of this. If any of you are on Sanctum of Ral or can transfer to Sanctum of Ral, it'd be wonderful to have you, and you will have a lot of fun. I promise. I promise, get Guild Wars 2, go to Sanctum of Ral, and join us.
It's definitely worth the money spent.
So,
I think this game really much paid for itself when it comes to
there
the
are
enjoyment
other
factor.
aspects of the game that we kind of glazed over. I'm aware of that, but as it is, we've been talking for almost a full hour now, so we kind of want to wrap up. There are some other things I did want to bring up before we close out today. Now, the current state of the channel. Now, I'm aware we've been really spotty lately because we've been having a bunch of issues. We brought up that our friend's child was born. Asley's been having some severe computer trouble as of late.
Yeah, let's do a quick discussion on this one.
She caught what was known as the FBI virus.
This is not a fun little freaking thing. Now, Wyatt and I have like this love-hate relationship with certain webcomics, like...
Yes, we view some webcomics, like Looking for Group, which is a really well-known one. And
Least I Could Do. The one that I believe caused the issue was one called Girls with Slingshots. Now, this is a brilliant webcomic, but...
It's hilarious.
I logged into it the other day, and it came up with, this is an attack page. I'm like, oh crap, back out. Couldn't back out because I've got like 25 different webcomics, and yesterday it was like the one day Firefox decided to lag on me. So I got Zerg rushed by not one, but 2 viruses at the same damn time.
But the virus that appeared first was known as the FBI virus. Now, this is a set of ransomware. Now, some of you, like, I kind of knew what ransomware was. I'm obviously a techie. I built the computer that I do the TheCyanFirefly off of. And it's a pretty good computer. Let's face it, it is a really good computer. I'm quite proud of building that machine. I want to throw some more money into it in the future and make it an even better machine so I can improve the channel even further. But anyway, now, what ransomware does is it locks you out of your machine. It makes it so you can't do anything.
And you can't get to the desktop, you can't get to the task manager, you can't do shit.
Yeah, and it tells you that in order to unlock your computer, you need to pay a certain amount of money. The FBI
one was saying you have to go to like Walmart or Target, get a card, put $200 on it, and then put the code into...
But the FBI virus is particularly malicious because it disguises itself as a authoritative page from the FBI that says you've broken the law.
Right.
And it says that you must pay a fine.
Yeah.
Now, it was charging Asley by saying that she was viewing child pornography and zoophilia.
Not at all! No!
Now...
I almost threw that laptop... I'm sorry. I almost threw my laptop out the window. I was so freaking pissed.
Now...
Pardon my language.
Now, like I said, I am a techie. That's ultimately what I am. I am very good with computers. So, I managed to get in. I did the whole through safe mode.
Malware bites,
Spybot, search and destroy. And I cleared that particular virus out. Switch it back on.
What we didn't know was that there was another webcomic that I hadn't gotten the chance to close out of called Goblins.
And that particular virus installed Live Security Platinum, which is another set of ransomware that says your computer is full of viruses and only their particular virus software can save your computer. Now, this one was even more ridiculous than the FBI virus because I got rid of it easily, but it disabled so many processes on her computer as I took it out, it wasn't even funny. It damaged her Windows Update to the point where I couldn't even get onto the Windows Update website to restore it. It forbid it from the computer.
It 403'd every website related to the Windows Update.
But it was so malicious that I couldn't figure out how it did it. It didn't do it through Windows Firewall. It didn't do it through a proxy server.
Windows Firewall.
It edited the registry to the point where the services weren't appearing anymore.
We went into safe mode and cleared out this thing 3 times, and it
kept coming up.
It still kept coming back. You had to go into the registry to get rid of the fucking thing.
I had to edit her registry, and I had to restore the base services by downloading a couple of registry files and installing them to get her Windows Live back. Which it was I fixed it.
He was working on this thing from like
5:30 in the morning was when I finally got to go to bed.
Yeah. Oh, whoever invented the virus, fuck you. Fuck you with a cactus.
Yeah, you're an asshole and you should die. But
well, let's not go that far.
no,
but
you ruin lives. You ruin lives.
Yes.
There are people who need these computers for work, me included.
Yeah.
And in particular, I wanted to make a Trine 2 video using co-op multiplayer, and I couldn't do that because of you.
Yeah.
So
that was
that's
supposed to be
that's
our
my
schedule
source
for yesterday.
that's my source of income.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do it because the people I was going to do this video with had their computers destroyed. Now, part of the problem was also due to Ionan's computer, but his...
He crapped out his CPU.
Yeah,
it was beautiful.
He bent the pins on his processor.
I don't know how he managed to do it.
He was cleaning his computer. The pins got bent. That's...
Oh, you naughty, naughty boy.
Yeah, but that's unrelated. Even if he hadn't done that, your computer had the virus. So...
So not impressed, but it's over with, it's done with,
and we will have the Trine 2 video up as soon as possible.
Yes.
It will only be Asley and I, because Ionan's new processor isn't coming in until Tuesday or Wednesday. Maybe he can join us with his brother's computer. I don't know. I'll have to talk to him about it and see if he's interested.
Yeah.
But
that's gonna look forward to that for Monday.
If not Tuesday. But hopefully Monday.
Yes.
Anyway. Anything else that we had to talk about?
King of the Web.
Oh, yes. King of the Web, the Battle Royale's done. There is a new King of the Web going on. I'm still interested in this website because if I win this particular, and I actually have a much larger chance of winning this time around, if I win this particular King of the Web, I can actually get $1,000 in my pocket, which I can use to improve the channel. The channel is having some financial issues at the moment. The channel's not making a lot of money. I only make a couple of pennies every single video I release.
Yeah.
Which is not enough to sustain new games every single time. I have a host of free games I do have access to. I can make content from Guild Wars 2 every once in a while, but I don't want to do the same thing every week because...
Right.
You know,
that
I don't want a boring Let's Play channel. You guys kind of deserve something more than that. I think you guys have learned to expect something a little more than
engaging.
The average hurdy-durdy-dur, let's play, huh, huh, huh.
Oh my god, I'm being scared.
Yeah. I mean, you know, honestly, there's nothing wrong with that kind of content. But that's not what my channel is, where we want to inform people about potential games to pick up and play.
Right.
We want to educate consumers.
To be fair, I do intend on doing a couple of Let's Plays, but I'm looking for a way to do them in a fashion that doesn't reflect a normal Let's Play. I want to inform players about, here's an aspect of the game, here's a little-known fact,
you want to do it on an educated format. But
right, but that's hard to do.
Now we're getting a little off topic. Anyway, we're running for King of the Web. We're running in the gaming category. The gaming category, people are competing against themselves. There is currently somebody in the lead. His name is Mr. Pickles. Something like that,
yeah. Interesting choice of name, but...
Anyway, he is currently in the lead. He has a decent lead. He's about 3 grand votes. Mm-hmm. But most of those votes are from the remaining Total Biscuit crowd who still had votes to spend after the Battle Royale. There's also a actually decently well-known YouTuber out there known as Dave Chaos. I think he's friends with Yogscast. That we'd be competing against. But he doesn't have a lot of votes either. So we actually have a chance here. We could make some money for the channel. So I'm going to put a link down to our campaign down below. Go to that and vote. I will be making a video hopefully every single day from now on, reminding you guys to vote. I will also be including reminders at the ends of my normal videos. And just support us, because, you know, $1,000 in our pocket can do a lot of great things for the channel. We can actually start making new content, up-to-date content again, which I think you guys really deserve. It'd be really good for us to get that kind of content again.
Right. And while Lyad is the one that's doing most of the gameplay, I'm the one that's doing most of the graphics aspect. So that's one of the biggest reasons why you don't see me actually uploading my own videos to the channel, as I'm
all the nice splash pages.
I wouldn't
all
even
the
call
logos.
those nice. See,
They're
nice.
They're nice.
Those are cheap.
They're nice.
Those are cheap.
They're
things.
nice. Enough.
No, but I'm working on some graphics. Like, I know that somebody did make a valid point that the ending splash page for our outro is boring.
Yeah,
I'm working on something to fix that.
Here's the thing, though. She didn't make that. I did. That's why it's boring. I'm not a graphic artist. The aspect that I learned of the whole technical computer stuff was coding, not artsy stuff.
Well, pardon me for being artsy-fartsy. Wow.
I'm not calling you artsy-fartsy. I'm saying I am hopeless when it comes to drawing.
Yes, a stick figure is the most you can do, I know. But I love your stick figure drawings. They're so amusing.
The best I can do is art compilations, which I can steal from other people.
Well, yeah, we won't go there. Anyway, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's really
we've
all
exhausted.
we have for today. In fact, you might be seeing a black screen by now because we've been talking for so long and I don't know if I have enough footage to cover all this.
Well, at this point, I think we might want to hop back onto Guild Wars and just, like, troll through the world and record stuff.
Oh, yes. I would love to explore more of Guild Wars right now. I kind of almost feel disappointed every time I have to log out of that game to go to sleep or...
I know I do. Like, every time my computer, like, overheats, like, again, my laptop has an overheating issue that I mentioned earlier, so whenever I get to, like, these really, really taxing moments in the game, my computer will just shut off.
It's such an engaging game, and it's just...
I actually... The phrase, it hurts when something goes wrong, this is an aspect of it. It's like, I really want to play this game, and then suddenly my laptop shuts down on me, and it's like, oh... No! Why did you do this? My heart! Oh!
But, for now, this has been Lyette Nasley with a relatively in-depth look at Guild Wars 2. We made a lot of praise. We did bring up the major complaint everybody's been having with it.
And again, there are some other complaints, but we're not going to go into all of them.
And they are being worked on. ArenaNet is very transparent. You can see everything that they're doing to fix the game.
They're openly posting every change log to Reddit, so you can actually go on to Reddit, the ArenaNet.
Yeah, and I have full faith that all of these problems are going to be resolved. So, really, there's no reason not to pick up this game right now. Unless you don't have the money. If you don't have the money, then I understand.
Yes.
So, but if you have the money, seriously, pick up this game. It's an amazing game.
It'll be worth every penny. It'll, like, the enjoyment factor will pay for itself.
Yeah, you will not be disappointed.
So.
But this has been Lyette.
And Azalee.
And we're off to make a bigger and better guild. Farewell.
See ya.